15 years, blowing the doors off the competition. Podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRNetworks.com.
This podcast is a member of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry. No E's. That's Blueberry, BLUBRRY.com. Blueberry.com.
This podcast is a proud member of the Lamb Podcasting Network. Find the network at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Subject Cinema with T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Show teaser in 3, 2, 1. Cue teaser.
You know what I'm discovering?
What?
It's a very difficult thing to try and find humor in all the stuff that's going on right now.
No kidding.
But we're going to try and make things a little bit lighter because after 2 weeks of constant craziness, everybody needs a little bit of a smile on their face. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to go through and recommend some movies that might help get your mind off the situation in the world, plus a few other things. Got a review, got a Bonehead, some YouTube stuff, all kinds of stuff coming up right here, right now. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
And this is Subject Cinema.
Hope you enjoy it.
Connecting to server. Connection confirmed. Connecting to website. Connection confirmed. Adjusting lights to preset level. Adjusting sound. Adjusting volume. Recording.
Real movies for real people. T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema 2020.
I'm about virused out. And we got a lot more to go before we get done.
Yeah, that's true.
Welcome to Subject Cinema. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Subject Cinema number 648, day and date, March 22nd, 2020. These are going to be dated when people listen to them in the future.
Yeah.
Because a year from now, we're going to be talking about this, and it's going to be like in the rearview mirror, we hope.
Hopefully, yeah.
But, you know, everybody's kind of going nuts. This last 2 weeks, we've been dealing with COVID-19, otherwise known as COVID-19 or the coronavirus. And more cities are locking down, trying to stop it from happening. Of course, Mass isn't one.
Nope. Not
California
so
is in lockdown, Illinois is in lockdown, and New York is in lockdown as we are recording. So, all these crazy things. We wanted to try and put a smile on your face because everybody's worried about this. Everybody's going nuts. And Kim came up with the idea of coming up with some movies that you could watch and try to enjoy and take your mind off things for a few minutes.
The reason this just kind of popped into my head because there have been all these posts online, people saying, oh, this is the perfect time to watch movies like Outbreak and Virus and Contagion and all these movies like that. And I'm like, no. This is not the perfect time to watch those kind of movies. You know, it's like...
That's the perfect time to watch those kind of movies if you want to fuel paranoia, which is what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it's like... this is a great time to watch those kind of movies if you want to feel more miserable. And everybody's...
Well, no, because most of those have really worse plot lines. So what we're going through looks like a piece of cake compared to those movies. But still, it doesn't wash with me or her.
My thing is that it just irritates me that if you're... I'm of the opinion that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And those people are part of the problem.
Yeah, so are the people hanging out on the beaches at spring break.
Yeah.
People who are not following social distance procedures. And, we should probably bring that up too. It's just been a crazy week. So,
so this was my idea. I was like, I mean, we obviously can't pretend that we can't act like it's not happening, because it is happening. But if for just a little bit of time somebody watches a movie that makes you not think about this for an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever, or just makes you smile for a little bit of time, that's something. Mm-hmm. That's something. The one thing we can't give up right now is hope. That's the thing that we cannot give up. You know, that's just my opinion.
As we've been saying the last 2 weeks, just remember, precautions and preparation, not panic and paranoia.
Yeah.
Okay?
And
we still have all kinds of toilet paper shortages in the country. Thankfully, around here, most places seem to have tissues in, which is a substitute.
And don't be a douche.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what it boils down to.
Don't overshop and don't hoard, because you're just making things worse for people around you. So,
So to that end, I came up with the idea that we should come up with 5 movies that we would recommend to people as movies to just, break out and watch, just to make yourself feel a little better. Even if it's only for a few minutes, it's something. So we came up with these movies. We don't know each other's lists. And
yes, this is kind of like a half front row 5 and 10. So,
yep.
Which we need to get back doing again.
I know.
So this was your idea.
Yep.
So you can start this off.
Okay. These aren't in any order other than this is how they flew into my head. So
yeah, me too.
That's the way I do things. Simply for the comedic level of this movie and the fact that it's just one of my all-time favorite movies, I recommend Some Like It Hot. Mm-hmm. The classic screwball comedy about 2 musicians during the Depression that flee Chicago because they wound up being inadvertent witnesses to a massacre in a garage. Gee, that sounds really familiar. The story of these 2 characters played by Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon who flee to Florida with an all-girl orchestra. So, in order to fit in, they have to dress as women. And they're still dealing with the fact that these mobsters are looking for them. There's romantic entanglements involving Marilyn Monroe. And any movie where you have Marilyn singing, I'm totally fine with that. She was a beautiful, beautiful woman. And I know a lot of people think she was like the dumb blonde character, but she really isn't. There's a lot more to her characters than a lot of people would think. And I just love this movie, and the end of this movie never fails to crack me up. It's just that it's one simple line delivered by Joey Brown, and it never fails to convulse me, and I just can't help it. I think it's hilarious. Mm-hmm. So, for just screwball silliness, I recommend Some Like It Hot.
I actually tried to stay mostly modern with mine, all from the 2000s.
That's actually the latest thing I have.
The oldest thing.
The oldest thing, yeah.
I tried to find some stuff that I enjoy personally, that I think other people will enjoy and get a kick out of it. And also stuff that could be, except for one of them maybe, watched by pretty much anybody of any age. Mm-hmm. Starting with my first choice from just last year, Pokemon Detective Pikachu. This movie, which features Ryan Reynolds as the voice of Pikachu, God help us all. We were frequently referring to, he was frequently referred to online as Pikapool.
Yeah.
Because basically it's Deadpool in Pikachu's body.
Without all the swearing.
Without all the
guns.
swearing. Or Dead Chew. Which is also another one.
That's awful. Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
It's got a great cast, including
Ew.
Justice Smith, Catherine Newton, Bill Nye, and Ryan Reynolds, as I said, is the voice of Pikachu. It's the story of an amnesiac Pikachu who can speak, but only to one person, the son of his partner, who is now missing. And so Pikachu goes off and tries to help him find out what's going on. we knew it was either going to be a train wreck or a
lot of fun.
A lot of fun, and it was kind of like a lot of fun of a train wreck. It was enjoyable and funny, and if you're a Pokemon fan, it's even doubly so for all the millions of Easter eggs in it. But if you're not a Pokemon fan, you can still get into it. And I don't know how well. I haven't watched the DVD yet. We bought it several months ago. I haven't watched the DVD yet, but it's like, I don't know how well it holds up on the small screen, but it should be okay because it's CGI work. And
well, the CGI in this film is nuts.
Yeah, it is.
When you see a Pikachu and it's a 3D rendering of a Pikachu that you feel like you could actually touch and feel his fur, and he just looks so soft and cute and fuzzy. And I want one. Pikachu! I know, that's the problem. I'd hug it into giving me a thunder shock or something. I can't help it. I love hugging fuzzy, cute animals. I'm sorry. Speaking of fuzzy, cute animals, that actually brings me to my next film, if you're done talking
I
about
am.
Okay. My next film is a film that I remember seeing when I was a young lady, and I was thoroughly enchanted by this film. Unfortunately, when I saw it, I didn't get a lot of the cameos. I knew who the people were, but I didn't know why I knew them other than my parents knew them. The next film I'm going to talk about is The Muppet Movie, which I would definitely recommend. If you've never seen The Muppet Movie, why the heck not?
I haven't seen The Muppet Movie. I haven't seen any of the Muppet movies except the more recent one.
Well, I feel bad for you, because the Muppet Movie is terrific. Besides giving the world the amazing song The Rainbow Connection, which is one of my favoriteest songs, sung by Kermit the Frog. How can you not love this song? It's the story of the Muppets heading off to Hollywood. It starts with just Kermit, but he's picking up other Muppets along the way, and they're all heading off to Hollywood for fame and fortune, with meeting some bad guys along the way. And I know some people might be like, Kim, this is a children's movie. Yeah, so what?
No, it's not.
Well,
it's not a children's movie. It's a family movie.
It's a
There's
family
a difference.
movie. It's a movie for everybody.
A children's movie is something. That's the thing that's always bugged me about more recent Hollywood films. A children's movie is a movie geared especially at the 3 to 12-year-old set. Mm-hmm. There aren't very many of those anymore, but they do still exist. Like the Barbie home videos and stuff like that. Those are children's movies.
Okay, all
This is
right.
a family film.
And it's just a wonderful movie about pursuing your dream. And the cameos in this film are completely like, did I just see whomever? When you've got, frickin' Orson Welles is in this movie. You have to wait till all the way to the end. But, Orson Welles is in a movie with the Muppets. That sounds so nuts to say it out loud. But it's a great movie. There are some really, really funny visual gags, tons of puns. I am a sucker for puns. And it's just Muppet lunacy, which I love. I love the Muppets. I'm in my 50s, and I admit I love the Muppets, and I don't care who knows it, and fight me if you have a problem with it. So the next movie I'd like to recommend for anybody who needs a lift, because I think we could all use a rainbow right now, is The Muppet Movie.
Okay, that's good. Maybe I'll have to watch it while we're stuck at home, because I'm actually going to be working from home this week. My next one is a movie that topped my all-time favorite list for a while, and I truly was blown away by it because I so hated the original show. But when you look at it, it's an eye-popping, spectacular 2008's Speed Racer, starring Emile Hirsch in the title role, with John Goodman as Pops, Susan Sarandon as Mom, Polly Litt as Spritle, and Christina Ricci as Trixie. This movie blew my mind. I hated that show so much when I was a kid. It was on every day. Couldn't get away from it. And I just avoided it like the plague, even though a lot of my friends in school watched it. But I fell head over heels in love with the Wachowskis' amazing big screen adaptation. Just, the story's great. Michael Giacchino's score is phenomenal. And yes, it's campy. It's campy as hell. It's supposed to be. We got some great, 90% of the movie was shot in green screen.
Yeah.
It's all CGI. And it's amazing. It did it better than the earlier attempt to do that was Sky Captain and the Worlds of the Future or something like that.
Sky Captain, the World of Tomorrow.
World of Tomorrow. That didn't work and it didn't get great reviews. This didn't get great reviews either, but lately
people have gone back to it.
It's having a revised opinion among some critics.
People have gone back to it and said, hey,
it's
this really isn't bad.
Film.
Yeah, it is fun.
I have never liked Emile Hirsch better. I love him in everything anyway. He's one of my favorite actors. And it's just a ton of fun.
It is.
It's one great big cartoon come to the big screen.
Yep.
If you've not seen it, check it out. 2008's Speed Racer.
See, I loved Speed Racer when I was a kid. That was one
you
of my...
loved the movie, too.
Yeah. That was one of my first exposures to anime before I even knew what anime was. And I loved that show.
Back then it was still called Japanimation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a great choice. The next choice of mine is one that I know is going to surprise absolutely nobody who knows me.
Must be a Godzilla movie.
No, actually
not.
not.
Okay.
No, I actually don't. I actually, weirdly enough, don't have any Godzilla movies on my list. Simply because my heart. Well, I'm trying to be appealing to other people, and I know that while watching a giant kaiju wreck a bunch of buildings makes me smile.
You don't want to send the kids to see Godzuki?
I will bite you.
See, this is just our attempt to show you we're back to normal on the show. Anyway.
Like I said, as much as I enjoy destruction, mayhem, and terror on the big screen brought about by a giant kaiju, I do understand that most people aren't like that because most people are, sane.
So what's your third one?
My third one is Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope.
I should have thought of that,
yeah. This, I've mentioned before how much this movie changed my life. I don't know what would have happened to my life if it hadn't been for this film, because this is the film that turned me into a science fiction fan, which in turn turned me into a fantasy fan and a horror fan and a superhero fan and everything else that has made me the well-adjusted, well-rounded individual I am today. Ting. But really, I know some people would be like, Kim, are you kidding? The special effects look so dated, blah, 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 and all this stuff like that.
No, they've been updated for
the
videos.
Well, even if you go back and look at the unmucked about with stuff.
Which I don't think is available.
I don't actually know. But at the heart of it, it is a story about good and evil, and good triumphing over evil. And it's also the story of one person, and the fact that one person who feels like, oh, I don't think I can make a difference, and then they find out they can. That they can, if you believe in yourself, you can make that difference. You can be that change. And watching the start of the journey that Luke Skywalker goes on I think it's really important. And I think this film is important. And I think that at a time like this, hope is kind of in as short a supply as everything else. So I think we definitely need some more of it. So I think if we all start watching it, can't hurt. So my next film is Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope.
Okay. For our sophisticated fans out there, do we have any?
I didn't know we had people from Marblehead listening. Okay.
Oh, well, yes, that's good. Could very well be. Yes, we could have Muffy and
Buffy and Cliff and and now everybody in her Marblehead wants to kick my butt. We're just joking. We're just joking.
Kind of lighten this stuff up.
Yeah, we're just
this movie, I never expected it to come into my psyche as one of my favorite movies of the 21st century. We went to see it at the theater and I liked it fine and it was great and it was fun, and then I started watching it on cable and I can't ever not watch it when it's not on. When it's on. I really enjoy it simply because of the wonderful chemistry between the three leads, and it's fantastic. So if you're looking for a little bit of a sophisticated comic romp, turn no further than 2009's It's Complicated, starring Meryl Streep, Alec Baldwin, and Steve Martin, along with John Krasinski in a real pivotal breakout role for the feature. He was already known for The Office. It's the story of a divorcee who ends up having an affair with her ex-husband, And she at the time also is redoing her house and is falling for the architect that has redesigned the house. It's a really fun little comedy. You have told me you don't see my obsession with this movie. You like this film.
I liked it. It was fine. I found some of the characters incredibly annoying.
We're not talking just about Pedro here.
No, I'm not talking about Pedro. I'm not talking about Pedro. I'm talking about her grown beep kids that are acting like they're 10.
Yeah, they are.
But it's an interesting story. You know, it's the whole idea of, you know, when you have someone in your life that you know is toxic.
Yeah.
Jake is not a bad...
Jake is very toxic when it comes to relationships.
Jake is not a bad person in the sense that, you know, he's not a wife beater or he's not a drug addict. I'm not even saying drug addicts are bad people. They're sick. Mm-hmm. But, you know, he's not a bad person. He's just bad for Meryl's character.
Yeah.
Because he's such a narcissist.
Yeah.
You know, and he's a narcissist. He plays the victim, you know, the victim card all the time. Nothing's his fault, even though he's the one that left her and got a young and you know, to be with this side chick played by Lake Bell.
Lake Bell, who we became a huge fan of because of this movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, that's it. No, I became a fan of Lake Bell because she's an amazing actress.
She is.
Which really shows in this film because her character in this film I wanted to toss off an effing cliff.
It was also a very early performance from, at the time, he was just 5 years old, M.J. Anthony, who would go on to co-star with Jon Favreau in Chef, and is now he's on some cable show right now where he's like the hunky heartthrob son. Okay. So he's 17 now. It's been a while.
Side note, if you've never seen Chef, you should check that out too, because that's a good movie. But don't watch it when you're hungry.
I just love it's complicated. It's a little bit one percenter for some people because it's about affluent people in Santa Barbara, and they're all, you know, wealthy. Obviously, she couldn't afford that home or her own business if she wasn't wealthy. But it's just, I love the chemistry Meryl has with Alec Baldwin. I love the chemistry Meryl has with Steve Martin.
Yeah.
And and Steve and Alec have great chemistry together. They don't show it on the movie so much, but they did host the Oscars together that year, and it was hilariously funny. You got to check it out if you haven't seen it. It always puts a smile on my face. Okay. I believe it's 2009's It's Complicated.
All right. The next film that I... just real quick, jumping back to It's Complicated for 1 second. This is just a funny story, and I think I've brought this up before.
That's an entirely different movie. And not for this kind of time either.
No. Just cute story. When we went to see, was it It's Complicated or A Prairie Home Companion that I did my usual kind of audience look around, and I was like, we're the youngest people in this theater.
That was Prairie Home
Companion. It was Prairie Home, which also starred Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. Anyway, moving forward. We're over here now. The next film that I have to bring up, I remember seeing this film when it came out. So I was much, much, much younger at the time. And we were lucky enough to see it when it came back to the theaters, and it was just as fun, even though I cried more at the end of it this time than I did. I didn't cry at all when I saw it the first time. The next film on my list is Superman, also known as Superman the Movie, from 1978. Superman's origin story, starring Christopher Reeve as Superman and Clark Kent, Margot Kidder as Lois Lane, and Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor. And I have to apologize.
You liked it better when we saw it a couple years ago.
I have to apologize to Mr. Hackman because I remember seeing this film, like I said, when it first came out, and I was much younger then. And I remember not liking his Lex Luthor and I don't mean not liking him as boo, he's the bad guy. I mean, I was just like, no, I'm not scared of this guy. I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm older now, but I'm like, yeah, you know, this guy is really scary. When you look at him and he's so genial and seems like he's, you know, got that smile on his face and stuff like that, and he's just awful. He's just an awful human being. This film was, like I said, it's Superman's origin story, and I love it. I love this film. I love the character of Superman. I always have. And I've done this before, and I've made this comparison before, and I know some people are like, you're high, but I'm still gonna do it. I've always compared this character in my mind to like an angel. Some people even could have compared Superman to Jesus, which, if you think about it, there are some really big parallels you can draw between Jesus and Superman. Mm-hmm. You have this powerful being that was sent by his father to help a group of people that will probably destroy themselves through their own stupidity if he's not there to try and help them. The reason that I should
have been doing the music through all that.
And I've always, like I said, I've always kind of compared him to an angel in the fact that he has all of this amazing power, and yet he uses it to help us, weak, insignificant, stupid us. Mm-hmm. And it's because he's a genuinely good being at his heart. And I'm sorry, I love everybody who's played Superman since. No insult intended to Dean Cain or Brandon Routh or Henry Cavill or anybody else. I loved Christopher Reeve's Superman, and I will fight you. Yeah. He just had that innate, deep wellspring of kindness. Mm-hmm. This is the Superman that could, stop a nuclear warhead from blowing up California, right? And is the same Superman that could rescue a little girl's cat out of a tree. And both of those things are totally believable.
Right, yeah.
And it was so weird seeing this at the theater. It was last year. Was it last year or the year before?
It was within the last 2 years. I don't remember when we went.
And it was so strange because we're at the end of the film and you have that one shot that was in all of Chris's takes as Superman, where he's flying above Earth and he looks at the camera and smiles. And I just burst out crying. You
had a smile on your face, though.
I did. I had this enormous smile on my face and just tears pouring down my cheeks, which just shows that I'm just a marshmallow. But I love...
It was November 27th of 2018.
Okay. I love this film. This film will make you believe a man can fly. And it will also take your heart.
Gee, that sounds familiar.
It really will. My next film that I would suggest, if you need a pickup, who's better to pick you up than someone who could pick you up with one hand? Superman or Superman the movie.
Right. I was never a big fan of it until we saw it at the theater.
A
year and a half ago. It was.
Well, you're not a big fan of the character.
No, but I liked the TV show, the original with George Reeves.
Right.
And I love the character in the cartoons. Mm-hmm. I grew up with Super Friends and all those shows on Saturday morning. But I was never a huge fan of this movie until I saw it this time around. Mm-hmm. I'd only seen it on video.
Right.
And I'd seen Superman 2 first. Because I'd never gotten to see Superman. So it kind of screwed things up. My next movie is a movie that you might think you have to see something else first, but you really don't. It's not a movie that is required for you to see the movie that it talks about, but it is helpful, but you don't need to because it conveys pretty much everything within the story.
Did you get all that? There will be a test.
Kim?
Yeah?
You're tearing me apart! Honestly. My number 4 of the movies to check out is 2018's The Disaster Artist. The story of the making of Tommy Wiseau's infamous bad film, The Room.
I was going to say, if the next words out of your mouth are The Room, I'm running out of this room screaming.
No. This movie
It would be helpful if you saw The Room.
You don't need to. It shows and sets up the entire thing in the movie.
Well, yes, it does.
Tommy's an aspiring actor who's got money coming out the wazoo and nobody knows where it's coming from. He makes friends with Greg Sestero in acting class, and the two of them set off to make their own careers go skyrocket when Tommy writes a script called The Room. The Room is infamously one of the worst films ever made.
We've seen it. We can attest to that.
But I've got to say, it's not nearly as bad as some other stuff. And it's enormously fun bad, too. Mm-hmm. This movie, which stars James Franco as Tommy Wiseau, his brother Greg Greg? No, his
No.
brother,
Dave.
Dave Franco is Greg Sestero, and a whole host of well-known Hollywood people as various characters in the room, including Josh Hutcherson, Jackie Weaver, Seth Rogen, who is one of the producers on the show. This thing is hilarious from beginning to end, and it's based on Greg's best-selling book about the making of the movie. I really enjoyed it. You got a kick out of this.
I did.
We saw it at
absolutely.
the theater. I couldn't wait for it to come out because I'd read Greg's book.
It's a great film. There's just one part that is, you kind of go, oh, crap.
The end of it, yeah, near the end, yeah. And you don't, but it works. And it's a really fun look at this horrible movie and the people behind it and why it ended up the way it ended up. And you can also watch the original. The Room is a hoot and a half to watch, if you've never seen it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's painful and hard to get through the first time. Once you get through it the first time, you can get through it any time.
Actually, you know what? You might actually be better off watching The Disaster Artist and then watching The Room if you've never seen The Room before.
Yeah.
If for nothing else, because then you can go, oh, now I see what they meant. Oh my gosh.
True enough. If you haven't checked it out yet, you really should, and it'll put a smile on your face. The Disaster Artist from 2018.
Yes. Finally, my last film that I want to bring up, that if you need to pick up, if you need a little bit time away from watching the news and all that stuff like that, which I would heartily recommend you do, is a documentary. And I just felt like this is a great film to watch at this time, simply because it was such a joyous thing to watch. There are some sad parts in it, but there are sad parts in life. And the thing about this film that I think is so important right now is that it teaches a lesson that all of us, and you and me included, need to learn right now. Adaptability. The film that I'm talking about is a documentary called Kedi. Kedi is the story of the cats of Istanbul, not Constantinople.
You have to do that every time?
Kinda,
that
yeah.
joke is so old.
Kinda, yeah, I do. I'm only gonna do it the once. It's just, I like that song. Anyway. Istanbul, which is the largest city in Turkey, is the home to thousands, yes, I said thousands, of street cats. Cats that, aren't living in a home, don't have humans of their own. I'm not going to say are owned by humans, because that's stupid. If you've ever been owned by a cat, you know what I mean. These are cats they're wild. Sort of. Now, when we in America think of feral cats, we think of animals, unfortunately, that are, skinny, flea-ridden, scared of humans, usually very aggressive, blah, blah, blah. This is not the case. I mean, I'm sure it's the case with some of the cats, but not the cats focused on in Kedi. The people of Istanbul just accept the fact that these cats are here. These cats have been here always. There have always been cats in Istanbul that have just been part of this, as much part of the city as the old buildings and as much part of the city as the new buildings.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people who help take care of them.
Yeah, and they've adapted. They have found ways to exist, and they look like your average everywhere house cats. They're not all scraggly and dirty and, have their ears
Some of them are,
off.
but most of them are not.
Most of them are not, because the people know that they're there and they don't chase them away. They just, when you have one cat that will literally walk up to a restaurant and has a seat that's his seat, that he jumps up on, gets on the window and starts patting on the window with his little paws, letting them know, hi, I'm here. And they come out and feed that cat. Not because anybody told them to, not because it's a city ordinance or it looks good for the tourists or whatever. Yeah. It's just because the cats are just as much a part of the city as the people. And that kind of adaptability is something that I really think we need to learn right now. The film focuses on 7 different cats, and it's a beautiful film. And besides the fact that I'm a cat person, like you couldn't tell that already, and I love cats, and they're beautiful, adaptable, very intelligent animals, and I'm convinced are smarter than humans. It's just a great film. Like I said, there are some sad parts, and there are some parts that will make you tear up. But for the most part, it's just a beautiful look at an amazing city and the cats and the people that live there. And it's just fantastic. So my final film to recommend to people, Ketty.
That's a great one.
Thank you.
I also picked a documentary for my 5th one. And it's the kind of documentary that will have you laughing yourself sick and your jaw on the floor. Because it's just outrageous. It's taken all from dash cams in Russia. It's called The Road Movie. And some of the stuff that has been picked up and recorded on Russian dash cams, the tank pulling into a car wash to get washed.
Yep.
The car driving through the middle of a raging forest fire.
The bear.
The bear.
The one person that they were driving, and all of a sudden there's a bear running in front of them.
Yeah.
The cows.
There's just some insane stuff in this.
Yep.
It was released by Oscilloscope last year, and it's mind-blowingly funny. It's terrifying in a couple of places.
The forest fire.
The forest fire is terrifying, but it's also funny because the husband is like, "Oh, we're just going through this," and the wife is freaking out, and it's like, "Oh my Lord!"
Because the reason she's freaking out is we should explain.
They are literally on a dirt road or a paved road, a single lane road, 2-lane road. And the forests beside of them are completely on fire. They are driving through a raging forest fire.
It looks like they're taking a road trip through hell. Yeah, basically. We should explain the reason why there's so much of this footage is because Russia apparently has a problem with people trying to scam insurance companies doing the whole jumping in front of cars thing.
Right. So a lot of people
have dash cams to protect themselves. I think that's a terrific choice. For one thing, it's another film that gives you a look at the way things happen on a different part of the world. Yeah. I mean, there's a point in this film, there's a meteor soaring through the air, and the people are just like, "Oh, look at that."
I wonder if it was a plane crash. Was that a plane crash? Yeah. You got to see it.
And the guys in the river. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, don't give that away.
Oh, man. There's so much in this film.
I think it's hilarious. I mean, the only person I recommended it to that saw it and didn't like it was our pal Anthony Lamberti.
Yeah.
But everybody else I recommended it to thought it was really funny. And I hope that you guys will too. It's a great documentary, and just look around. You'll probably find it somewhere. It's called The Road Movie.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
We got 5 great movies right now here.
Yep.
What is one so bad it's good movie that you would recommend to people to just sit down so they can fall on the floor laughing?
You have to Misty it yourself, or are you watching the Misty of it?
It should be something that's not necessarily Misty.
Okay. Let me think. I think probably just my mood right now.
Yeah.
Horrors of Spider Island.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you can watch the Misty of that too.
Yeah, I know.
I would actually pick something more along the lines of Can't Stop the Music.
Okay.
Which is just terrible, but it's terrible in a hilariously funny way.
All right, now I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
You have to pick a so bad it's good movie, but it is Mistied. So which Misty would you pick?
Ooh, there's
I know
a lot of good
I know
ones.
which one I'd pick.
Okay, what's yours?
My choice would be The Wild World of Batwoman. I think they got some awesome riffs in
I
that
love that
one.
too.
Even though it is a terrible film. Oh, Sweet Caroline, it's bad.
Oh, damn, that's so hard because there's so many good things.
I thought you'd say one thing right off the bat. I'm really surprised.
Well, you threw it at me unexpectedly.
I'm sorry.
What
I
did
thought
you
you'd
think
say
I would
beginning
say?
of the end.
Beginning of the End is good. Deadly Mantis is good. You can check out Mystery Science Theater 3000 and Riff Tracks 24/7 on the Shout Factory app or on Pluto TV. They each have their own channels, which is really nice. One thing we've loved about having our Roku set is we have Pluto TV and have all these great options. So check them out. You can also check it online at pluto.tv and shoutfactory.com. We hope those are some inspirations. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some YouTube stuff you might enjoy.
When Subject Cinema returns.
Welcome to the Really Awful Movies podcast, a celebration of low-budget cinema.
Is another apocalyptical prediction about to come true. Winds of death will sweep across the world, and whole continents will be cast adrift in an ocean of blood.
Chris, and along with Jeff, we're bringing you the very best and worst of horror, sci-fi, action, exploitation, kung fu, and women in prison movies from the 1970s to today. Be sure and check out reallyawfulmovies.com for reviews, interviews, lists, and terrific movie giveaways.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Subject Cinema. I'm Kim Brown.
I'm G.C. Kirk of Subject Cinema, number 648, March 22nd, 2020. And we are giving you ways to take your mind off all the craziness going on in the world.
Yeah.
We gave you some movies.
Yeah.
Let's talk about YouTube. There's lots of great stuff on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
It all depends on what you are into. We watch YouTube a lot. She watches it constantly.
I do.
I can't get her off of it, off the TV. You are particularly addicted to the r/ channels.
I am. I really love r/, which is a channel that the gentleman that runs the channel reads posts from Reddit, but he has them all in specific categories that are on Reddit, like r/ relationship advice or r/.
I like that one because it's actually read by the person. It's not one of those computer voices.
Yes, I know.
Which just annoy me.
He's got a lot, like I said, relationship advice, entitled Parents, Am I the a-hole, things like that. And he's just really good at what he does. And some of those have led to some pretty interesting conversations between you and I. It's like, debating things, and it's really interesting and fun.
We both love How to Cake It.
Yes.
Which is from, I've forgotten her last name, I'm sorry.
Yolanda.
Yolanda is her first name.
Yolanda.
She got me the cookbook for my birthday, or for Christmas.
Yep.
And it was, this woman and her team are, I hate them. I just hate them.
He doesn't
I look
mean
at what
it like
they
that.
do.
He doesn't mean it
no,
like that.
I mean, I hate it because they are so good and they make it look so perfect, and I could never do that. I'm sorry.
Neither could I.
They make hamburgers. They make coffee cups. They make everything under
out
the
of
sun.
cake.
Out of cake and fondant and buttercream. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
The amazing thing about that channel is not only do not only the design's amazing, the cakes just look so good.
Yeah.
They
do. We also, when it comes to food, we also like Bon Appetit, which has some great, every way you can cook.
Bon Appetit we like, although sometimes it does tick us off.
Yeah. Well, they have these ones where the staff there are kind of snarky about things.
Yeah.
And they have the back-to-back cook things, which are funny.
Yeah.
But we both most especially like Every Way to Cook Blah.
Yeah.
Which are usually a half hour, like 110 different ways to cook eggs or whatever. I mean, you've got them on a waffle iron and all these ridiculous things you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's one of those, I learned something today kind of things, like don't cook steak on a waffle iron. That's a very
So what are some of your favorite channels?
Some of my favorite channels would definitely include Roleplay Riot, who is an amazing actor. He is an amazing actor and
a rising star.
Yes, and a rising star, and he's really just fantastic. Does incredibly cool work. Well, I'm a big fan of the What Culture channels. What Culture Wrestling, What Culture Movies, What Culture Comics. I love their work.
I'm a big fan of the ones
funny.
that don't have the Scottish guy on them. I can't understand what he says half the time. He's got a really heavy Scottish accent.
Sorry,
what's
dude.
the Irish channel that we watch?
The Tri
Channel?
Yeah.
Where Irish
They have a
people
lot
are
of,
eating-
Irish people try whatever it is.
Those are usually
Those
hysterical.
are really, really, really funny. I'm sorry, I wouldn't try some of that stuff.
No,
not if you
I
paid
wouldn't
me.
either.
Not if you put a gun to my head. I'm
No.
not trying because they did the one chip challenge, which no, that's
We've seen that done
no.
by Sammy Guevara and a couple people from AEW.
So much no. We're both big fans of Glove and Boots.
Yeah, well, they haven't done anything new this year.
No,
so
but
I'm
we're
a little
big fans
irritated
of their
about that, but they're a lot
You
of
can
fun.
go back and look at their stuff, and it's funny
Mario's
as
Word
heck.
of the Day.
And Mario's Word of the Week is really funny, and I actually learned a new word from Mario's Word of the Week, which
Lalokezia.
Lalokezia, which is the act of relieving stress or pain through the use of vulgar language. I actually have that taped up at my office.
So do I,
at
and
work.
so does everybody in my department.
Yeah. So thanks, Glove and Boots, for that.
Yeah. You're fond of Wrestling with Regret.
Yes,
we
I
actually
am.
sponsor Brian Zane's channel.
Yes, I am. Wrestling with Regret, Brian Zane, who does a great job because he has to watch some shows that I'm like, I would rather slam.
We don't sponsor him. We're Patreon supporters.
We're Patreon supporters, yeah. I would rather slam my hand in a car door than watch some of the wrestling shows that he's had to rewatch. Some of them are things we actually did watch and went, why did we order this? He does a
And
really
it helps
great
because
job.
he's in the business. He is a manager.
Yeah,
in
and
several
he's
wrestling
really
feds,
funny and does a really great job.
Yeah.
We watch Shoe and Tree. We love that one.
Shoe and Tree is it's SHU.
Yes.
And Tree, TREE.
Yep.
Is a dog groomer from, we believe, South Korea.
We're pretty sure.
And the magic this woman works with these dogs is just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the dogs are just so dang
yeah, it's usually
cute.
like they're usually smaller dogs.
They're smaller dogs. I've never seen her like do a procedure on a larger
We
dog.
belong to a lot of the cat channels and dog channels because we just can't get enough of those. I'm trying to think of what else I know that you always watch. We're loyal fans of certain shows. List 25.
List 25.
With Mike Estrin and Tristan Frower.
Yep. You love Mugu Mogu.
Mogu, oh, yeah. Although she's really ticking me off the last year or so with her psychological torture crap she's doing on Maru and Hannah. I don't like that. I watch, my personal choices, I watch right now a lot of Eurovision stuff. Of course, Eurovision was canceled this past week, which totally bummed me out, but we're still going to be doing the countdown to Eurovision that I do on East Cinema 1, the Kirkham Report, and Planet Biblia Musica. It should go up sometime today. The first of them, I'm going to run them all down.
Dark Corners. I want to bring up Dark.
I
love Dark Corners. Oh my gosh,
he is funny as hell.
Dark Corners Reviews is a gentleman out of England that he reviews horror movies, occasionally science fiction films and all that run more toward the bad. He's
done some mainstream stuff, but most of them are really obscure
Most
titles.
of them are slasher films that would...
That last one he did, I don't ever want to see, not even for any pain in the world.
Which one was that?
That one with the where the plot made no sense with the girls from the sorority came back.
Right, yeah.
That was just terrible.
Yeah.
That looked terrible.
But he also does a lot of good career retrospectives and like studio retrospectives of like Hammer and all kinds of other horror studios, horror actors and stuff. He's really great. You can tell they put a lot of research into that stuff.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of Marek Hanna's channel. If you don't know who Marek Hanna is, he was a semifinalist on AGT in 2018. A young hip hop dancer. He is really, really amazing with some of the stuff he does, and it's hard to believe he's been around for 3 or 4 years and he's only 15. This kid was 12 when he was on AGT.
It's crazy.
He's just really something, and he's got something new up at least once every other week or so.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff is just crazy, and he's actually got 3 different channels, plus he's on TikTok and a number of other things, all with different stuff. So if you know where to look for him, you can find all kinds of different crazy stuff on him. I'm trying to think of what else. We both watch, we used to both watch, I still watch Vlogbrothers, which is one of the classic channels on YouTube. Twice a week, Hank and John Green talking to each other. Hank had a really good long Vlogbrothers this past week, about 8 minutes long, about how he's dealing with today's crisis in view of something that has happened to him personally over the years. It was really a great vlog from him. Love watching them. They're always clever with what they do.
Somebody else that I want to bring up is a gentleman named Jim ASMR. He's another ASMR person and also a voice actor and just a straight out actor. I don't know how this guy is not on TV in Europe because he is so frickin' good. He does amazing stuff. He's done every kind of character you can think of, and I've also kind of dipped my foot in the voice acting stuff on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel where
Platinum Rose Roleplay.
Yeah,
check
it
out.
Doing
She's
role
great.
Plays. I'm trying.
You are great, and there's really good stuff, and she should have a new one up sometime this week.
Yeah, I hope so. And there's some other ones. I watched.
There's a ton of them out there. We
definitely both want to bring up.
We both have over 200 subscriptions
I know.
on YouTube.
So it's really kind of stupid. Fredflix, yeah.
Always Fredflix.
Yeah, Fred is really great. Fred does
it's mostly for the Nick at Night crowd, the older people, but it's fun.
I mean, Fred does sometimes fall into the "Hey, you kids, get off my lawn" category, but we
love you, Fred.
We love you, Fred.
She's right about that.
I just lost who I was. We have to bring up Being the Elite. Do
we?
Yes, we do. Don't do that.
Being the Elite is the original channel that eventually led to the formation of All Elite Wrestling.
Yes.
Hosted by Matt and Nick Jackson.
Yes.
Featuring Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, Adam Page, SCU, which is Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky.
And other stars of now what has become All Elite Wrestling, whom we all adore. Much love to you guys,
but it's mostly those guys. Those are the original guys.
Yeah, hoping
been a lot of
everybody's
weird stuff with Orange
safe.
Cassidy and Chris Statlander the last few weeks.
I ship that so hard.
I know.
I ship that so hard. It's not even funny.
Know.
I can't help it. I just think they're cute together. Babbletop we watch, and sometimes I'm like, why did we watch that?
They're fun. They do crazy stuff.
They do a lot of stuff about, like, it's all mostly food and yeah. Well, the thing about Babbletop is they bring up, sometimes it's frustrating because they'll be talking about, like, discontinued candy or soda or whatever, and we're like, we never heard of that.
No.
Dang, that sounds good. Why don't we get that? Oh, it's gone. It's like, well,
I think they're based in Canada. I'm not sure, but they certainly seem to have a lot of knowledge about the Canadian market.
But every time they show stuff where
we know Watch Mojo is in Canada. We watch that all the time.
We watched one just last night, actually, that was about secret menu items in fast food places, and I'm sorry, no.
Yeah, there's a lot of gross stuff on that list.
Oh my gosh, the thing.
I tried the Incredible Hulk from Taco Bell. That sounds really good.
You like guac, so you like guacamole.
I love guacamole, so that would be really good.
Yeah, but I was specifically thinking of that sandwich from Wendy's. Oh my gosh!
No, nine patties.
Nine burger patties. I'm watching that going. I'm like, that is wrong. That is just wrong.
We'd love to hear it if you guys have favorite YouTube channels to watch.
Yeah.
Let us know so we can share it with the viewers and listeners of the show. Mm-hmm. And we hope that you will check out some of these people.
Yep.
And we will be right back after this.
Don't go away.
All movies, all the time. Subject Cinema.
Hal, if you love movies, you should listen to the Cave Babble podcast.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
Why not? Do you have a problem with Eric and Valerie?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
If they promise to cover more science fiction films, would that help?
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
Hal. Sometimes I feel like we are from different circuit boards. If you change your mind, go to cavebabble.com or subscribe to the Cave Babble podcast on tunes.
All movies, all the time. Subject Cinema.
Welcome back to Subject Center. I'm T.C. Kirkham.
Hi, I'm Kim Brown.
Just a little bit odds and ends that have affected stuff by the virus stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know, there's been a lot of cancellations and postponements. We've talked about them the last couple of weeks. The last two, the most recent two to join those are the Cannes Film Festival, which has been bumped back, they think, to June or July, and the outright idiotic cancellation of the Eurovision Song Contest scheduled for Rotterdam.
We can tell where your stance is on it.
I'm mad because of their hoity-toity, holier-than-thou attitude about canceling it, and why they felt, we can't do it any other way because it's tradition. Look at the world. Break the tradition for 1 year. There's no reason why they can't do it with music videos from a studio. I'm just pissed about that, but everybody is. I'm disappointed Eurovision got canceled because there's some really great songs there, and we'll talk about those if you come over to eCinema1.com, thekirkhamreport.com, or planetbibliomusica.com. Over the next 41 days, I will be posting my countdown to Eurovision as scheduled. The songs, they're not sure. These 41 songs may end up getting carried over to next year. So we'll see, because they're still trying to see whether it's going to be in Rotterdam next year, like it was supposed to be this year, because they won last year. But you'll hear more about it, and please come over and check out my coverage on that. There's also something else going on right now, and this is something that normally would have been brought up on Kim's show, which I'm sure she'll bring it up again this week on Ring Around the Rosie. But we've been hearing more and more about Vince McMahon's WrestleMania the last few days. Number one, the first thing is they're splitting it into two parts. They're doing it mostly from the WWE Performance Center instead of they can't do it live.
Yeah,
and apparently they're pre-taping half of it. So I'm like, okay, this is just ridiculous. You as a fan, longtime fan, that's got to drive you nuts. Especially when we have what we had last week.
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday.
Yep.
Thursday and Friday, sorry.
Which, while that was fun to watch, and it was fun to watch, we're talking about the show from wherever it was.
Parts Unknown, Game Changer Wrestling's Acid Cup 2020.
There is a lot of stuff happening in Parts Unknown. It's very...
it was on live on IWTV from Parts Unknown with only wrestlers.
Yeah.
Thursday and Friday over 2 nights, and it was absolutely incredible.
And insane.
These guys are willingly putting themselves on the line, but not going so far as to infect other people if they should ever come down with it.
Yeah, I hope you guys are all well and everybody's fine.
The best thing about it was the second night they had what was called a social distancing match, which pitted Joey Janela, Bad Boy Joey Janela, who is also on AEW, with I can't remember his name.
I forgot.
The chunky guy, Jimmy Havoc.
No, Jimmy. I forgot.
The other Jimmy.
Jimmy Miller or something.
No, it wasn't that plain. We're not that familiar with most of those guys. Jimmy Lloyd.
Yeah, that was it. One of us
and the match was hilarious. It was them doing wrestling moves while standing 6 feet apart from each other.
Well, they had to measure 6 feet. They had a tape
because they were locked up. And they're like, no,
rule.
you got to do. It was. I told Janela on Twitter, I think you're either insane or absolutely genius.
Well, first they had to decide how far 6 feet apart was. I'm like, it's between 5 and 7, you guys. So
So kudos to the guys from Game Changer Wrestling for putting that together.
For trying to make
There's another one this afternoon from Black Label Pro from Parts Unknown, again with nobody. No audience, of course.
I have to bring up, for everybody who's like, oh, this idea is stupid, I think having a whole card where there's nobody there is very weird. But the idea of a match...
pulled it off.
I know. But the idea of but it wasn't nobody. There were other wrestlers there.
There were. Yeah.
I mean, I've actually seen on tape, and actually on YouTube, I've actually seen a match where there was nobody other than the people in the match and Lance Russell, who was calling it. There was a match between Terry Funk and Jerry Lawler from the old Mid-South days that and I gotta be honest, that match was completely bat guano insane.
It was nuts, yeah.
But it was, you couldn't take your eyes off of it. You really couldn't. To do a whole card like that, though, is very weird because it's wrestling. Wrestling feeds off of the fans, you know. And
although they're trying.
No, they are trying. They're totally
Vince
trying.
AEW is trying. Vince is doing most of their stuff at the Performance Center in Tampa. AEW coming from the Tony Khan's headquarters in Jacksonville, Florida.
No, they're totally trying. And the thing is, like I said, you have the fans. The thing about the fans not being there, you know, you have the wrestlers who do feed off of the fans, whether they're cheering or booing or whatever. And then, of course, you also have the fact that some people do tend to call their shots a little loudly. But anyway, yeah. Well, you know, we're nothing if not tactless on this show.
Tactless? Get rude.
That's us. But it's just weird. It's just very weird. And the idea that, I mean, everybody figured, well, they're going to have to cancel WrestleMania, and that's going to be tough, but it is what it is.
They really should have rescheduled it. I don't think.
But it's like, nope, we're going to do it. What? We're going to do it from the Performance Center. What?
Yeah, go listen to Ring Around the Rosie. I actually guest starred at Kim's invitation this last week, and we had a nice little discussion about that. That was before we knew they were splitting it in two.
Yeah.
Also. So.
And there's all this talk that there might be pre-taped things,
so.
Which I'm just, are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you freaking serious right now? So, I don't know. I mean, we're just all trying to get along.
People trying to get through.
Yeah, we're all just trying to get along as well as we can get along. You know, I mean, I don't know what else. I mean, you have to admire the fact that some people are taking this and they're running with what they've got. One of those people being, and God bless him, William Shatner. I'm serious. God bless him, because he is in self-quarantine right now. I'm not sure if he's still overseas or not.
He was in Europe when all the travel bans started. He was over there for a tour. They were doing a tour with him, showing the Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if he's stuck over there still, or if he made it back to the States. So.
I'm not sure either, but apparently he is in self-quarantine, which is hard to say even when you're sober. But he's doing, like, videos, you know, doing video work as Captain Kirk.
Oh, God.
I wish I was making that up, but I actually kind of don't wish I was making that up, because that's just so awesome.
But he said he never wanted to. He thought that had run its course, that he wasn't going to return to that role.
Well,
people were asking him after Star Trek Picard premiered. So
yeah, and how many times has Terry Funk retired? So
well, yeah, but that's a person, not a character who was killed off twice in his last film.
I know, but still, I'm sorry. I'm just like, oh my gosh, Bill, you're amazing. We just all have to do what we have to do. You know, I mean, it's crazy, and it's all kind of up in the air right now, but you just gotta kind of, keep on keeping on.
Yep. Subject Cinema.
We'll be right back.
There's a lot of movie talk happening here. This is Subject Cinema.
All right, Kristen, I am so excited that you've decided to do a podcast with me, but what are we going to do a podcast about? There's so many other movie podcasts. We got to do something original.
Well, I'm a big fan of Disney movies. What about something like that?
That's just kid stuff. What do we want to do that for?
Did you know that The Avengers is a Disney movie? Or that Pulp Fiction is a Disney movie?
Pulp Fiction is not a Disney movie.
It's technically owned by Miramax, which is part of Disney.
We are still going to talk about the Disney animated movies, though, right?
I thought you said that was kid stuff.
Well, I've got 2 kids. I got to be a good dad and stuff.
So be sure to subscribe to the Walt Sent Me podcast, where we discuss the various subsidiaries of the Walt Disney Studios, including the animated movies.
It's available on iTunes, Podomatic, and wherever you find great podcasts. And I swear, it's not kid stuff.
Just when you think you've heard it all, we make sure there's more to hear. This is Subject Cinema.
Bonehead of the Week.
I swear, I'm glad we brought back Bonehead of the Week this year, because it is just absolutely one of the goofiest things on the planet. We have a number of companies out there who are attempting to put trademarks on grab trademarks in their company's name that are connected to coronavirus and COVID-19. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? This story came from Tech Dirt over the weekend. More than a dozen applications have been filed at the trademark office seeking to register trademarks. One company wants to register something called a coronavirus survival guide. Another one is trying to do a phrase called "We cured COVID-19." But I think the one that got to me the most is a company. I got to find it here. A company calling itself. Company is calling itself COVID Care. COVID Kare. It's like cars for kids. It's spelled wrong. They are trying to trademark a bunch of phrases that they can use, including quarantine, spelled TEEN at the end, 2020, the bug war, I survived a real pandemic, and please, viruses. I'm sorry. I mean, are we serious here? Just, why do people think of stuff like this? We got all these crazy things going on. It's a very serious matter. And of course, these people are thinking of their own pocketbooks, trying to make money. Uh-oh, she's ready to blow. Go ahead and have it, hon.
I'm just trying to I'm doing word substitutions in my head. Because,
oh yeah, she's in Lent. She can't swear.
Well, I chose that.
Not to mention the fact that you can't swear on this show anyway.
Yeah, I know.
We're a family-friendly show.
I realize that.
Okay.
So, I chose to try to give up cursing for Lent. And it is a family show. So I can't use words like beep and beep, and especially not beep. But I can say, people are forking dying, you mother-humping sons of tea kettles. What is the matter with you? You people are sick. I mean, you people are sick. I mean, I don't mean sick like the poor people who are suffering with this virus. You people are ill. I mean, evil. I mean, just, my gosh, what in the forkin' friggin' fudgin' frog is wrong with you?
Oh, please, girlfriend, just wash your hands, okay? Honestly.
Your parents must all be so proud of you right now. I hope your mothers are all appalled by you, because I know I am. You people should be ashamed of yourself. We need that lady from Game of Thrones with the big bell that was walking down the street going, shame, when Cersei was walking down the street naked. Shame on all you people. That is horrible. You people are evil, disgusting, capitalist scumbags.
Yike. Didn't think you were going to go quite that nuts.
And fuck y'all.
Evil? Evil? No, they're not evil. They're just capitalistic.
You are capitalistic.
Greedy's good.
Sons of rusted tea kettles.
Okay, don't mince words, hon. What do you really think? Honestly.
Go anuses.
So obviously, to these companies that are doing this kind of thing and taking horrible advantage of all of the crazy crap that's going on in the world today, you folks know who you are, and you all get this week's
Bonehead of the Week. T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema.
Want to be a part of Subject Cinema? Then email us. Your ideas, suggestions, and comments keep us going. SubjectCinema@PNRNetworks.com. Keep connected to Subject Cinema and all the great PNR Network shows and sites. Hook up with us on Facebook. Facebook.com/Popcorn and Roses. That's popcorn, the letter N, roses.
Subject Cinema.
911, what is your emergency?
Ask them to help us get a National Guard unit, maybe
National Guard unit and a helicopter.
Hello. My name is Marvin Heemeyer.
He had a great reputation in the town. I mean, he was an outdoorsman.
Friday, June 4th, 2004, probably started out as a very normal, uneventful day for the citizens of Granby, Colorado. It didn't end that way.
No, it didn't.
That day turned out to be, I would say probably for those people, it was probably one of the most scary days in their small town. When a man named Marvin Heemeyer, who felt that he had been wronged by the city, decided to take action. And his action was not to file a lawsuit
We've done that several times already.
Yeah, file more lawsuits and everything else, or go to the media or whatever, or do a blog post or anything like that. No. Marvin had a secret weapon. And I think calling it a secret weapon is not being, I'm not using hyperbole there. It was a weapon, and it was
kept a secret until he
unleashed it on the city of, this very small city of Granby, Colorado on that day. And that is what the movie Tread is about, which we happened to catch earlier this week.
It's been a while since we watched it. We actually did a review on the show. We're supposed to be doing them on a Patreon show, but we haven't done them.
Mm-hmm.
Tread is the story of what happened in Granby that day and the lead up to it. It is available on demand everywhere if you haven't seen it. You just pretty much said the entire thing. We really don't need to go over much more, but it was a 10-year battle between Heemeyer and the city of Granby, particular people in Granby that he felt had wronged him or had slighted him. The story is told in Granby's own voice because he left behind a collection of cassette tapes talking about what had been done to him and why he was doing what he was about to do.
Not to mention writings that were left on the shed that he had kept this weapon in. The weapon that we're talking about.
He took a regular bulldozer and modified it so that it was an armored tank, basically.
Yep.
Nobody could get in. It took him 2 days to get it open when they got him stopped.
Yep.
Nobody could get in. He had guns. He had this giant thing, and he proceeded to destroy 20.
No, I believe
12.
Hold on, I think it was like 14 buildings or something like that.
In the town of Granby.
Yeah.
Including the city hall, the cement plant next to his muffler shop, which he had been feuding with for a long time, and the store where one of the city hall members worked, the local newspaper office, and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. It was really, really a very interesting and exceedingly disturbing film. I'm actually not sure of the amount of buildings that he took out, but it was quite a few. The only fatality to come out of this whole situation was Mr. Heemeyer himself. He came to the town of Granby, Colorado, which is not a big place. It's a pretty, small town in the mountains. And he started a muffler shop there and did pretty well with it. He was well known he did his job very well and was good at what he did.
Yeah, not even 2,000 people, so it's a tiny town.
Yeah. And he was told that he needed to do some work with his building, that there were certain things that weren't connected properly, and it needed to be done this way according to the town government, which he didn't like. He felt that people in the town were conspiring against him. And it went on for
the whole thing was
a long time.
He had no trouble in the town at all until he bid on and won a parcel of land that the town rich guy wanted.
Yeah,
the
that was next
that pretty
to his
much
land.
Runs the town.
Yeah.
And from that point on, he felt like he was being harassed by them.
Yes, he felt like these people were trying to run him out of town, and so on and so forth. And
13 buildings.
Yeah, 13
in total.
Yeah, and while most people that knew him, that apparently knew him, coworkers, friends, things like that, they thought he was a great guy, the type of person that would give you his shirt off of his back and stuff like that. Other people did say that he had a temper. One woman said that he threatened her husband because he hadn't paid him for one of his, one of the jobs that he did. And this whole thing went on and on and on between him and the town. And he eventually got to a point where he decided that he was going to do something.
He
about
lost
this.
He lost his final lawsuit, and said he was sitting in his hot tub weeping when God started talking to him.
Yeah.
Which right there says something about his mental state.
Yeah.
He bought a Komatsu D355A bulldozer in an auction in California, brought it to Granby, and started modifications that included video cameras linked to 2 monitors inside, included compressed air nozzles to help blow dust away from the video cameras, onboard fans and an air conditioner to make sure he was ventilated. He made 3 gun ports fitted for a 50 caliber, a 308 semi-automatic, and a 222 LR rifle, and all the way around it was covered with a 1/2 inch thick steel plate. It was very, very obvious.
It was a tank.
That he had no intention of getting out alive.
No, it was a tank. I mean, there's no other way to put it. This was a tank.
He
a
says
homemade
as much on those
tank.
tapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he knew he wasn't going to make it out of it. He intended to not make it out of it.
Yeah.
Which is, in the end, what happened. After all, and he drove this thing out of the shed, wrecked the concrete plant next to his place that was run by the person that he considered his rival, and then he drove this thing into town and just started wrecking anything and everything that belonged to people that he felt had wronged him. Whether someone was in those buildings or not, he really didn't care. And that was made extremely obvious by the fact that he went and wrecked the local town hall. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because the local town hall was also the place where the library was.
Where a bunch of kids were.
Yes.
She was having a fit about him destroying the library while we were watching the film.
Book nerd. And there were children in that building right before this happened, but people were able to thankfully get out of the building, because let's face it, something like this...
Nobody else got hurt in the entire rampage. They were able to evacuate each building as he went toward it. So.
Because let's be honest, something like this, while it is impressive and it is dangerous and he did have guns in it, it's not fast. It's not a fast moving vehicle. It's not like he jumped in a car and stepped on the accelerator and shot into town.
Yeah. He said on the tapes, quote, "God built me for this job. I think God will bless me to get the machine done, to drive it, to do the stuff I have to do. God bless me in advance for the task I'm about to undertake. It is my duty. God has asked me to do this. It is a cross that I am going to carry, and I am carrying it in God's name," close quote. About 30 minutes of the tapes are heard in the movie.
Yeah.
The tapes were actually something like
2.5 hours long, yeah.
And they were recorded in a month and a half long period between April 13th and May 22nd, 2004, right before he went off and did this.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of the movie?
The movie is exceedingly disturbing.
It's a well-presented portrait of Mar.
I think it's very fair. I think it's very fair. And
although we both admit that we got the distinct impression, as much as they tried to dissuade everybody, that some of what Marvin was worried about probably was happening.
I'm sure there was bad feelings between people. And I'm sure that
we both said we got bad vibes from those two guys.
Yeah. I'm sure there was bad feeling between him and other people in town. I'm sure that there were people in town that wanted this to all just go away. And
yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
But do you honestly think there was some kind of hand-rubbing, shadowy cabal trying to drive him out of town?
With all due respect, honey, you've never lived in small-town America. You don't know how crazy it can get.
No, I don't. Yeah. I admit that. But his whole thing about how people were snickering at him and all this stuff like that, this man was sick.
He was.
This man
Near the
was
end, he
very,
was clearly,
very ill.
Clearly way out there.
And that's a sad thing because he was obviously a very talented person. He knew his stuff. And I think it's very sad that, and at the end of it all, after all of the destruction, the only one that lost their lives was him.
Mm-hmm.
He died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound because he didn't want to be, you knew he wasn't going to be taken alive.
And it wasn't just that, it was the fact that the tank itself, the engine blew, and then he tried to do the store, and the part of the treads fell into the store's basement, and he couldn't get backed out.
Yeah.
So, it's an interesting film.
It's a very interesting film. Like I said, it's very disturbing because you're watching.
You remember I'm sure pretty much all of our listeners probably remember
yeah.
seeing it on CNN or Fox or MSNBC. I believe they actually were running live when it was going on at some point. So
it's really kind of sad because at the end of the film, after all of the footage was shown and all that stuff like that, they brought up that the day after this happened, former President Ronald Reagan passed away. This got completely wiped off the media's radar because of the death of former President Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
To be perfectly honest, knowing the way the media works, it probably would have been wiped off the media's radar anyway.
I don't know.
Because he was dead. They couldn't focus on him being dragged to trial and all that stuff like that because he was dead. The media would be like, who cares?
Mm-hmm.
For the most part. But it's very disturbing and it's very sad when you think about it. You're listening to a person lose their mind, and that's really, really sad when you think about it. And like I said, when it's nothing short of a miracle that nobody else got hurt in all of this.
Absolutely is.
And on one hand, you can, in the back of everybody's mind, we've all had that moment where it's like, oh, you can't fight City Hall. Well, that guy did. But
don't do it. Don't
do that for crying out. No.
Didn't work out very well.
But when you think about the fact that this guy really did not care who he hurt.
Yep.
He could have killed an entire building full of...
You've repeated that 4 times now. We got it.
He shot at cops. He could have...
He did.
He could have killed a ton of people.
I don't really think he was aiming at the cops, though. From the recreations they did in the movie, it seems like he wasn't aiming at them. He was aiming to push them back.
Yeah, until he went at the ones that were behind the Jersey
even
barrier
then he
with
knew they would run. He knew they would run. They had time to run.
Well...
I don't think he was actually trying to kill people. He was just out to destroy their livelihoods.
I don't think he would have been too sorry if some of the people that he was angry at had been in those buildings.
I don't think so either, but I think that
it was
his
more
main goal was to disrupt their businesses.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. It's a very... At the end of it all, it is. It's just sad.
It is.
It really is.
Tread is out now. Would be in theaters if theaters were open.
Yeah.
But it is on demand from Gravitas Ventures, and you can check it out on demand or on the Gravitas web app on Roku or Chrome or any of those they have.
Remember, we are the reason films were invented. We're the audience. This is Subject Cinema.
Want to listen to Subject Cinema on the go? Check out Stitcher. You can access all the latest episodes right from iPhone or Android. Check it out. Click on the Stitcher logo on our sidebar or go to Stitcher.com and search for your favorite PNR Network show. Get started today.
We're the podcast version of your office water cooler. This is Subject Cinema.
Okay, folks, we're going to mosey on out of here for this week. We hope we brought a little bright shine to your otherwise crazy lives right now. We know you're going on just like us. The whole world is hit by this COVID-19 coronavirus issue. Theaters around the world are closed. All of them, most all of them. There are still open theaters in America. In certain parts of America, there's small theaters and they're drive-ins. Drive-ins are making a slight comeback because you pretty much know who you're with. That's social distancing is not a big thing there, but support your local drive-in
if you're in a car with your windows rolled up, can't social distance
but
any
how do you
more
go
than
get
that.
snacks? It's a little bit weird.
You bring
your own.
You bring your own. Yeah.
Next week, I don't know what we'll be doing. We're kind of basing this on what's going on in the world. I will tell you that we have other shows out there, but I can tell you up front, as I announced on Friday, because of the hiatus of the theaters in America, 3 Minute Weekend is taking an indefinite hiatus. Normally it would be available on Friday mornings, but it covers new releases. And there are still a few new releases trickling out, and we will cover those each week on our Tuesday show, Tuesday Digidex, as a recently released film in theaters. And that will start this coming Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
But until then, 3 Minute Weekend on Fridays is taking an indefinite hiatus until the theaters get opened and we get back to our regular movie schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You can also check us out on our other shows. I have a show called Catastrophe Vortex that was supposed to come back soon. Still haven't done it. We'll get to it eventually. This would be an ideal time to do it, actually.
Yeah.
And I will be also doing my annual countdown to canceled Eurovision this week. And starting this week, East Cinema 1, the Kirkham Report, and
because denial is not just a river in Egypt.
I still think they could end up. There's huge screaming about it. I still think it could end up happening. We'll see. And Planet Biblia Musica, come over, check out the 41 songs that would have been in Eurovision this year, because some of them really deserve your attention. They're really interesting. Kim has Platinum Rose's Garden, if she ever gets around to getting caught up with it.
I know. I have to do that.
And I assume it is going to be up later today.
Hopefully, yes.
Yes.
Ring Around the Rosies, my wrestling podcast as well. I also have Platinum Rose Roleplay, and I do have a Patreon out there, a Patreon exclusive show called Kaiju Corner, if you'd like to sign up.
We have 3 episodes of that up.
Patreon, and
please join our Patreon Patron Circle. It's $5 a month. Right now it's kind of hard. I know everybody's worried about money, but believe me, it's only the cost of one latte, and you can still have that delivered. Although Starbucks is closing nationally for 2 weeks, what I understand.
Yep.
Good Lord. I just realized that. What is Lucas Crookshank going to do without his Starbucks when they close for 2 weeks? He's going to go out of his mind.
Short trip.
Lucas is another great channel I watch on YouTube.
Love you, Lucas.
Yeah, we do. In any case, we hope our shows bring you some levity.
Yeah.
That's all we're trying to do. The last 2 weeks we've covered this in depth about how it's affected the entertainment industry. This week we're coming to you, giving you some ideas to help get your mind off of it, because it's really tough. And especially for those who are, more and more states will probably, in the next week, will probably lock down to help stop the spread of the coronavirus. And Massachusetts, Charlie Baker seems to be really absolutely adamant against it, but I don't think he's going to be able to hold out, because more and more of the state legislatures are piling on his back saying, you need to do this.
Yep.
So we'll see. We may end up in the same situation, but it doesn't mean we won't be able to be here with you, because we can do that right from here.
Yep.
Right in our own home.
Yep.
And we hope that you guys will let us know what's going on in your area. Thank you to our Chris for the long letter this week. Much
Thank
appreciated.
you.
And we want to keep in track with people we know and people who will listen and people who have never written too. Please let us know how this is affecting you. Not just the movie theater, how you are looking at the current crisis. You can get in touch with us at Subject Cinema at PNRNetworks.com. You can also tweet us, East Cinema 1 for me, Platinum Rose L for her.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
I think that's all.
Let's mosey on out of here then. For Subject Cinema, I'm T.C. Kirkham.
I'm Kim Brown.
May your popcorn always be buttered.
And may your roses always be in bloom.
We'll see you soon.
Be safe.
You have been listening to Subject Cinema with hosts T.C. Kirkham and Kim Brown. Subject Cinema is produced by PNR Networks, Boston, Massachusetts, which is solely responsible for its content. Subject Cinema is copyright 2020 by PNR Networks under a Creative Commons license. Check out a new episode of Subject Cinema every weekend. Until next time, this is Bob Taylor for Subject Cinema, and we'll see you at the movies.
Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.
15 years, blowing the doors off the competition. Podcasting to planet Earth.
PNRNetworks.com.